Right then guys, how's it going and welcome back to Your Football Predictions, the series where we try and predict all of the upcoming weekend's Premier League football. Thank you to everyone who got involved in the last video and gave me your predictions for those games from the weekend gone. I got no correct scores. I did not do very good. It didn't help that there was 2 more postponed games, so there was 2 less games to get right. But as always, you guys showed me up. I had loads of people who got 2 correct scores, but just 2 people got 3 correct scores, and they were Lee and Manesh. So well done to both of you guys again. Thank you to everyone who got involved in the comments on the last video. And remember, if you want to be shouted out in my next predictions video, be sure to get your predictions down in the comments below for this weekend's Premier League games. But as always, we will go through those games together now. So, I say weekend, it actually starts up on Friday night, 8 o'clock on Sky, with Watford taking on Norwich. I should mention there is actually games on tonight. Some of the games that had been postponed are now being played tonight. There was a game on yesterday, Chelsea-Brighton as well, but we are going straight into the weekend. And I should say, if you are watching this on Friday night or Saturday morning, don't worry. Get your predictions in late. I will come back Saturday morning and pick up the weekend's predictions as well. But Friday night, Watford taking on Norwich. Watford were actually meant to play this midweek as well against Burnley, but that was another game that got postponed. So Watford sitting in 17th, Norwich sitting in 18th. 1 point between them. If Norwich were to win this game, they would move out of the relegation zone, which would be massive for them, considering they are the team in that relegation battle that most people have written off. They could completely change that this Friday night, taking on a Watford side who, again, you can see have not been in good form, but picked up a point against Newcastle. Were meant to play Burnley, so again, that would have been a massive game this week. Now playing Norwich, they could send themselves an extra 3 points away from the relegation zone. So, as a Newcastle fan, I have got a 1-1 because I don't want either of these two teams to win, and I think it could be quite close, to be honest. I really couldn't predict the Watford-Newcastle game either. I think this is very similar. It's going to be very tense. I think it could be 1-1, 1-0 either way, or 1-1, so I will back the draw. Moving on to the Saturday now, 12:30 on BT, we have got Everton taking on Aston Villa. Everton sitting in 16th, Aston Villa sitting in 13th. Everton's loss against Norwich last weekend was the final straw for Rafa Benitez as he was sacked as manager there. Again, they have not been good. Well, as I say, the start of the season well, but it didn't last very long. And I think, again, losing against the side who, as I mentioned, a lot of people have written off, I think was the final straw. As for Aston Villa, Steven Gerrard has had some tough games of late. 2-2 against their last game against Manchester United, with Coutinho scoring the equalising goal. It was pretty good to watch. And in terms of this prediction, I have backed Villa 1-0. However, my only unsure about that one is Everton have now appointed Duncan Ferguson as the interim manager, and he's going to kick some lumps out of those players before they go into the game this Saturday, and I think that could well be what they need. So can he get an instant return for them? We'll have to wait and see. Moving on to the 3 o'clock games and starting off with Brentford taking on Wolves. Brentford play tonight against Manchester United, but then, as I say, Wolves at the weekend. Brentford have obviously had some really tough games at the moment. They played Liverpool in the last game, lost 3-0. Playing Manchester United tonight. Then taking on a Wolves side who haven't lost in over a month. They drew against Chelsea, they won against Manchester United, then they won 3-1 against Southampton at the weekend. So Wolves on some really good form there, who will be taking on a Brentford side who will only have had a couple of days rest between their last game once they've played later today. So I've backed Wolves 2-1 and that one. Moving on again, still 3 o'clock, we've got Leeds taking on Newcastle. So Leeds, again, another team people might have said were possibly in the relegation battle this season. They are proving a point that is wrong after 2 really good wins in a row. First off against Burnley and then a 3-2 win at the weekend. Jack Harrison getting himself a hat-trick there. Taking on Newcastle side sitting in 19th and were beating Watford 1-0 until the last 2 minutes, switched off and the game ended 1-1. And that could have been Newcastle out the relegation zone had that have been a 3-point win. So, yeah, what I've written here is Newcastle missed a trick, and they really did. Taking on Leeds side, who, to be honest, are going to run twice as far, twice as hard, and are really going to want to, again, really take themselves out of any question of relegation battle with the 3 points here. Again, as a Newcastle fan, I've gone 1-1. I think I'm being very optimistic, to be honest. I can see Leeds possibly scoring a few because the Newcastle defence is nowhere near good enough right now, and I know Newcastle are linked with various centre-backs at the moment. I don't think there's going to be one time for Leeds. I think 1-1 is optimistic, to be honest. I can see it being 3-0 Leeds. But anyway, 1-1. Moving on. Next up again, 3 o'clock on Saturday, Manchester United taking on West Ham. Manchester United sitting in 7th place, West Ham sitting in 4th. As I say, Manchester United actually play tonight for me while I'm recording this, so they will not have had as long a break going in to the game this weekend. And Manchester United are in, again, just in a bit of a strange place right now. I watched the interview with Luke Shaw, who came out and basically said, you know, that the things aren't quite right and the mentality's not there, and I think Ronaldo said similar things as well. And speaking of Ronaldo, I know he's been injured and didn't play in the last game. I think he might be back in time for this weekend. But again, you know, losing a 2-0 lead to Aston Villa, I think they'll be very disappointed in. Taking on a West Ham side who have won their last They had won their last 3 games in a row until they lost against Leeds 3-2 at the weekend, which for all intents and purposes was a great watch for a neutral. They are sitting in 4th, but teams like Arsenal, Spurs are catching them up, have games in hand as well. And going to Old Trafford is not going to be an easy game for them. But I honestly struggled with a prediction on this one. Again, I think it could be... I didn't want to go for another draw because I've already had 2 so far in my predictions. 1-0 either way. And I've actually backed West Ham. I've gone 1-0 West Ham. To be fair, I could... If anything happens... Again, it depends what Manchester United team up to turn up. You know what? They're so hit and miss right now. I've backed West Ham 1-0. Moving on to the Saturday at 7:30 on Sky, we have got Southampton taking on Manchester City. I think the big talking point for Southampton at the moment is, despite the fact they lost 3-1 against Wolves, what about that Ward-Prowse free kick from miles out, knuckleball into the top corner? And I mean, in fairness, the game before that, they actually beat Brentford 4-1. So again, plenty of goals in the games they're playing in, and unfortunately for them, I think there could be a few in this one because they're playing Manchester City, top of the league, just absolutely rocking it. 11 points ahead at the top of the league right now. You know, can anyone catch them? You know, and I never like to say never, but this is going to be a big ask for Liverpool or Chelsea, who both of them aren't quite hitting the high heights at the minute. So yeah, I've gone 2-0 Man City. Best luck to Southampton with that one. Who knows, maybe Ward-Prowse can score 2 unreal free kicks and manage to grab it for them, but we'll have to see. Moving on to Sunday now, we've got 3 games at 2 o'clock. The first one is not on TV, and it is Arsenal taking on Burnley. So Arsenal also play tonight, but it is in the League Cup against Liverpool. So that gives them less of a break before going into this game. Currently sitting in 5th. Burnley sitting in 20th now, have dropped to the bottom of the league, as I mentioned, after Norwich won their game against Everton last weekend. 2 teams who haven't had a game because both of them have been getting cancelled. As I say, Arsenal were meant to play Spurs at the weekend. Burnley were meant to play Leicester, and that didn't go ahead. And then they were meant to play Watford this week, and that didn't go ahead. So both teams without a game in a while. Arsenal's last game was on the 1st of January when they lost against Manchester City. Burnley's was on the 2nd of January when they lost against Leeds. I've backed Arsenal 2-1. I mean, Burnley, will this one go ahead this time round? I'm not sure. Has it always been Burnley's fault, or has it been the other team? I don't even know anymore. But I'm just going to back Arsenal 2-1. Again, 2 o'clock, but this one is on TV. It's on Sky, and it is Crystal Palace taking on Liverpool. So Crystal Palace sitting in 11th place. Again, I think I've said this a few times now, just quite up and down with their results. Drew against Brighton in their last game on the Friday night, 1-1. Gallagher scored again, and in fairness, I didn't watch the full game, but if you want to watch anything, go and watch the goal Crystal Palace scored, because it literally, I think there's a touch of every player in the Crystal Palace team before it lands to Gallagher in the box and he scores. So tremendous team goal for them in that game. Taking on Liverpool's side, who, as I mentioned, are sitting in second, 11 points behind Man City, but with 1 game in hand. So if they win that, it'll be 8. That's still 3 wins. I just think, when they drew against Chelsea, I think it hurt them, and it hurt Chelsea as well. The only person that benefited out of that game was Man City, because the 2 teams behind them both didn't pick up enough points. Liverpool, despite the fact that Mane, Salah are all at the African Cup of Nations, still managed to pick up a 3-0 win against Brentford in their last game. And I've backed them to win this one as well. I've gone 2-1 Liverpool. The final 2 o'clock game on Sunday is Leicester taking on Brighton. Leicester sitting in 10th, Brighton sitting in 9th. Leicester again are sitting mid-table right now, but I think I've got about 4 games in hand on everyone else, because they've also had so long since they've played a match, Premier League match. The last game they played in was December when they beat Liverpool 1-0. And they are due to play Spurs tonight. That's another one of the replayed games. So again, they will have had less of a break going into the game against Brighton this weekend, who are sitting in 9th, who, again, drew with Crystal Palace at the weekend. They played last night when they drew against Chelsea. And I didn't see the game, but I spoke to a friend who's a Brighton fan. He was actually disappointed that they didn't pick up all the points. And we'll talk about Chelsea in a minute. But Thomas Tuchel, I think there's some questions being asked of him right now. But massive big up to Brighton. A great draw for them. Back to drawing ways. They love a draw. And maybe I should have put a draw on this one. But I haven't. I've gone 1-0 Leicester in that game. Again, maybe we'll see more of what Leicester are doing tonight before it goes into the weekend. And then to finish off on Sunday at 4:30 on Sky, we have got Chelsea taking on Spurs. Again, I've kind of spoken about Chelsea already during this video, sitting in 3rd place. Seem to have just kind of... I'm not going to say they've dropped off or lost form, because, they drew against Liverpool, which, again, Liverpool are a great side. They lost against Man City, and again, so has everybody else. But then drawing 1-1 against Brighton as well. I mean, I know people are asking questions of Thomas Tuchel at the moment, and going in against the Spurs side, who again I mentioned in the last video, I was shocked at the form they'd actually been on in the Premier League. It was not what I expected. They play against Leicester tonight as well before playing Chelsea this weekend. And as I mentioned about West Ham sitting in 4th place, Spurs are sitting in 6th. But they are just 4 points off West Ham, so 4 points off a Champions League spot, but have 4 games in hand as well, or 3 after they play the one tonight. But still, that is what a turnaround they've had. And again, Chelsea have just kind of... Again, it's like, what do you say? They obviously want to try and push as far as they can this season in the league, but when they've had the few tough games, again, not to blame them playing Man City, I'm sure everyone else would lose as well, but it must be slightly deflating to now see them move that many points clear at the top of the league. And I've backed Chelsea. No, I haven't. I've lied. I've backed Spurs. 1-0 in that one. Again, I think it's one of those games where anything can happen. And we will just have to see. So those are my predictions up there for the games this weekend. As I say, they actually start on Friday night. So if you're watching this Friday night or Saturday morning. Don't worry, still get your predictions in for the Saturday and Sunday games. I will come back Saturday morning and pick up any of the late predictions. But as always, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Be sure to let me know your predictions down in the comments below, and I'll be back to shout out the winners in my next predictions video, which I think in fact will be in 2 weeks time, because there isn't any Premier League games going on next weekend. But yeah, thank you all for watching. As always, have a great week, enjoy the football this weekend, and I'll catch you later.